Have you ever stood in front of the open refrigerator at 11 p.m., staring at a tub of chocolate frosting, and wondered why every fiber of your being is screaming for sugar? You tell yourself it's a lack of willpower, or maybe just a stressful day. But what if I told you that the will behind that craving might not actually be yours? What if the real drivers are trillions of microscopic hitchhikers living deep inside your gut, sending signals to your brain to get exactly what they want to eat?
It sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel, doesn't it? The idea that we are essentially walking vessels for a massive, invisible ecosystem. We're talking about the microbiome, a city of bacteria, viruses, and fungi that outnumbers our own human cells. For a long time, we looked at the gut as just a fancy plumbing system. You put food in, it breaks down, and you get energy. But the shift we're seeing in modern biology is radical. We're realizing that the gut is actually a sophisticated command center, a second brain that's in a constant, high-speed conversation with the one in your skull.
A second brain is such a provocative way to put it. It makes you realize how little we actually know about our own autonomy. When we talk about this conversation between the gut and the brain, how is it actually happening? I mean, are these bacteria literally sending emails to our neurons? Or is it more like a chemical broadcast?
It's more like a multi-channel network. You've got the vagus nerve, which is like a high-speed fiber optic cable running directly from the gut to the brain. Then you have the immune system and hormonal signaling. But here's the kicker. These microbes produce neurotransmitters. We're talking about the same chemicals we associate with mood and happiness, like serotonin and dopamine. In fact, a massive percentage of your body's serotonin is produced in the gut, not the brain. So, when your microbial balance is off, the signal being sent upstairs is one of distress, anxiety, or intense craving. They aren't just bystanders, they are active participants in your emotional state.
That is honestly a bit terrifying. It implies that our moods might just be the weather patterns of our internal ecosystem. If I'm feeling anxious or irritable, it might not be my job or my relationship. It might be that my gut bacteria are having a bad day because I fed them a cheeseburger instead of a salad. Does this mean we can actually map specific cravings to specific types of bacteria?
We're getting closer to that reality. Research suggests that different microbes thrive on different fuels. Some love fiber, but others, the ones we often associate with inflammation, thrive on simple sugars and highly processed fats. When those sugar-loving populations grow too large, they can essentially hijack your reward pathways. They make you crave the very thing that helps them multiply. It's a survival strategy for them, but for us, it feels like an uncontrollable urge for a donut. It's a biological feedback loop where the host, that's us, becomes the delivery service for the guest's favorite meal.
So it's a hostile takeover. But let's look at the flip side. If the gut can make us feel miserable or crave junk, can it also be harnessed to make us more resilient? We're living in an era of the modern microbiome crisis. Between antibiotics, ultra-processed foods, and the fact that we live in these ultra-sanitized environments, it feels like we've accidentally declared war on our own internal allies.
You hit the nail on the head. We've essentially paved over our internal rainforests. In industrialized societies, we're seeing a massive decline in microbial diversity. Think of a healthy gut like a vibrant, diverse rainforest. It's resilient. If one species struggles, others step in. But modern life has turned that rainforest into a manicured lawn, or worse, a desert. When you lose that diversity, you lose the ability to regulate stress and inflammation. That's why we see this stress gut loop. Stress messes with your gut lining, which changes your bacteria, which then makes you less able to handle stress. It's a downward spiral that a lot of people are trapped in without even knowing it.
It's fascinating because we usually treat stress as a mental hurdle. We think, I just need to meditate more, or I need a vacation. But if your internal ecosystem is depleted, no amount of deep breathing is going to fix the fact that your second brain is sending out SOS signals 24/7. This brings us to the intersection of technology and biology. We're seeing a rise in things like the OXYZEN platform, where we're using wearables to track things like heart rate variability and sleep quality. How do these external metrics help us understand this invisible internal world?
This is where the future of health gets really exciting. Everything in the body is interconnected. Your heart rate variability, or HRV, is a window into your autonomic nervous system, basically, how well you're recovering and responding to stress. We're finding that your microbiome health is reflected in these numbers. If your gut is inflamed because of poor sleep or a diet that lacks diversity, your HRV will likely drop. The nervous system acts as the bridge. By tracking these metrics, we aren't just looking at fitness, we're looking at physiological resilience. It's about moving away from treating isolated symptoms and moving towards systems biology. We're finally listening to the whole body's conversation instead of just the loudest voice.
I love that idea. Becoming a systems thinker for your own body. It shifts the perspective from, I need to lose weight, to, I need to cultivate my ecosystem. It feels much more empowering. But for someone listening who feels like their rainforest is currently a bit of a desert, where do they even start? Is it as simple as eating more yogurt, or is it deeper than that?
Probiotics are a small piece of the puzzle, but the real key is prebiotics, which is just a fancy word for fiber. You have to feed the good guys what they want so they can outcompete the sugar seekers. But it's also about the lifestyle ecosystem. Consistent sleep, movement, and managing chronic stress are just as important as what's on your plate. Your microbes actually have their own circadian rhythms. They sleep and wake with you. When you pull an all-nighter or eat at 2 a.m., you're essentially giving your internal staff jet lag. It's about restoring the environment our bodies evolved with, rather than trying to force our biology to adapt to a high-stress, low-fiber, artificial world.
It's a perspective shift from forcing health to nurturing it. We've spent so long trying to dominate our bodies, pushing through the fatigue, ignoring the cravings, or using caffeine to mask the brain fog. But what you're saying is that the body is actually trying to tell us something through those symptoms. The brain fog, the mood swings, the late-night sugar runs, those are all just data points from the gut-brain axis.
Exactly. And that's the mission at the heart of the new wave of health intelligence. It's not about just tracking steps, it's about interpretation. It's about understanding that you are not a single isolated entity. You are a walking, breathing partnership. When you realize that your health depends on the invisible life living within you, you start making different choices. You realize that you aren't just feeding yourself, you're feeding a trillion-member team that works for you.
It really redefines what it means to be human, doesn't it? We like to think of ourselves as the masters of our domain, but we're more like the mayors of a very complex, very opinionated city. If the mayor ignores the infrastructure, the city falls apart.
That's a perfect metaphor. And just like a city, the microbiome is incredibly resilient if you give it the right resources. It's never too late to start a regreening project in your gut. The future of medicine isn't going to be a one-size-fits-all pill. It's going to be this deep, personalized understanding of how your unique ecosystem interacts with your unique life.
As we wrap up today, I'm left thinking about that midnight fridge run. Maybe the next time I feel that need for something sweet, I'll stop and ask, is this me or is this a hungry microbe? It's a small pause, but it changes the whole dynamic. It turns a moment of weakness into a moment of biological insight.
And that's the ultimate goal. Awareness is the first step toward resilience. When you stop fighting your biology and start working with it, everything changes. Your mood stabilizes, your energy returns, and those uncontrollable cravings start to fade because the puppet masters are finally satisfied.
It's a journey from being controlled by our biology to truly understanding it. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the second brain to the crisis of diversity and how platforms like OXYZEN are helping us decode the signals. It's clear that the next frontier of health isn't out there in a lab. It's right here, inside of us. If there's one thing to take away, it's that we are never truly alone. We've got trillions of tiny partners rooting for us. We just have to learn how to listen to them.
Well said. The invisible life within us might just hold the keys to the health we've been searching for all along. We just need to be brave enough to look at the system as a whole.
Thanks for taking us down this rabbit hole. It's given me, and I'm sure our listeners, a lot to chew on. Literally.
My pleasure. Let's keep the ecosystem thriving.